Didn't even think about it this time. Okay, welcome, folks. This is the Battlefront Livestream podcast, for lack of a better name. Again, not a podcast because it's released in a podcasting way. Be a vodcast, I guess, perhaps. But podcast in terms of the format, more about the discussion than the gameplay most of the time. I'm your host, Nathan P. Butler. I run the channel. Here you can find things like From the Star Wars Home Video Library. You can find Fantasy Flight Games reviews, including, within the next couple of days, reviews of the newest wave of X-Wing that just arrived. And joining me this time, my partner in podcasting, one of my partners in podcasting. I do host Star Wars Beyond the Films with Mark Herleman, talking about Legends of Canon stories over on StarWarsReport.com. But more apropos to this is Cloud City Casino, a Star Wars gaming podcast for tabletop and video gaming. And the man who started it all, whose bandwagon I have jumped onto and become part of the team, is Mr. Michael Morris. And Michael is with me now. Hey, Michael.
Hey, that's me.
Yes, the Baron Administrator who likes to call us all peons or something like that. All right, so last couple of days, I've been doing some streams showing people Battlefront DLC. The third DLC, of course, is Death Star, blah, blah, blah. Kind of set that up the last couple of days so people kind of know what to expect here. For what it's worth, right now, what I'm working on, if you go to the HUT contracts page, I'm working on Surgeon 2, which only requires healing one more team member, and I'll have that one. And I am working on Dark Enforcer, which I think has to do with the riots in North Carolina. I'm kidding. No, the Dark Enforcer gets you the Briar pistol, and that one requires 25 kills as Han Solo, and unless you're playing as a hero, I guess, on Blast or the middle stage of Battle Station, that is not something you can really do in Death Star. So I'm not going to be necessarily working on that right now, of course. And then as far as the other HUT contracts, I have one more still to unlock, which is Sapper 2 for the laser trip mine. But it's one that is looking like it's going to be kind of a pain in the ass. Get 5 kills with the laser trip mine and get 50 explosive kills. So that one's going to take a while. But that's where kind of things stand here at the moment for me. Michael, I know you've just got a chance, I guess it was last night, to really start delving into Death Star?
Yeah, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, delving a little. Are you working on any particular contracts or any particular things at the moment?
Just my patience with
Okay.
EA and DICE and this damn game.
Yeah, not necessarily been a particularly positive response that you've had there. So we're going to go into a mode here. We're going to jump into Battle Station again. For those who haven't seen recently, and hello, Darth Scion. The original game had 9 modes. Added Turning Point with the free DLC for Jakku. Outer Rim had 5 applicable modes. Bespin has 7. Death Star has 3. Granted, though, one of them being a multi-stage type of thing. So, yeah.
But you can never get to that last stage.
I've gotten there a couple of times. In fact, yesterday, I think during a stream yesterday, we got to the end in the Rebels won twice. I'm pretty sure I was on the Imperial side both times. But the Rebels actually won twice. So I've seen all 3 stages, but you're right. That first stage is really, really I think the phrase is a bear to get past.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, yeah, I've seen a lot of matches just end on that first stage. And there are, of course, the issues with the second stage. Where if you fall into one of the little divots as I discovered, if you fall into one of those little divots in the ground, there's no way for R2-D2 to get out of them. I'm not talking like falling down a chasm. I'm talking like you fall down the thing that's like a foot to 6 inches at most, and R2-D2's like, I'm screwed! And the Rebels can't progress. You can control the room, like we did, and spend 15 minutes controlling a room with R2-D2 stuck, but you can't actually progress, which sucks. So what do you think? We're getting into, of course, assuming the first stage here of Battle Stations, so we are jumping into a match. I know you were not impressed thus far by the inclusion of new ships. I mean, we've got B-Wings, we've got Y-Wings, we've got TIE Bombers, we've got TIE Defenders. What's not to love?
The fact that they're basically just background. You can't fly them, and that's ridiculous. At this point, that should be a thing, and it's absolutely, I can't even.
Your
Uh,
mind is like boiling inside your brain pan. Like I can't do
yeah.
it.
Well, because and what happened was, I take and I start the game up and I start looking at it and I go, oh my gosh, this is great. This is what it should have been all along. This is fantastic. Oh, there's a TIE bomber. Ooh, there's a Y wing, and ooh, there's a B wing, and oh yeah, I can't do any of that. That is just NPC only, which is ridiculous. And I just it's once again we got about half of what it should have been, and I don't think that we will get the other half come Rogue One. I just at this point I've lost all hope that we'll actually get anything other than just a couple little things and 3 game modes to play. It's not even. I don't know. It's not even fun at this point. I'm very disheartened by this.
I know that.
But,
And
hey, maybe.
We'll be talking about it on the show.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that when I've gone through this for a couple of days now. I guess I've done 3 streams on it now, and I think well, this will be 4, I guess. But yeah, I think that that's probably the biggest complaint that I have is how do you build an entire DLC? And granted, I love Battle Station. If it was a little more balanced, I think it would work even better. But I really enjoy just the idea of the step-by-step progression type thing. But how do you build an entire DLC around basically Fighter Squadron or some variant thereof and still keep us with the same 2 starting ships for both sides? They added a hero ship to either side, but no new starter ships. All you do is you tweak the Interceptor to get rid of its missile and give it the faster fire, which I've actually started to appreciate, and give the A-Wing super speed and get rid of its shields. I mean, I guess that gives some variance to the 2 starting ships now that wasn't there as much before, but still, 2 starting ships.
So basically, they basically fixed the 2 starting ships. That's essentially what this is. They fixed what was originally there. This is a fix. This is not DLC, and it's really, really frustrating. They just charged you to debug the game. It's I don't know. I
think you're a little more disappointed than I am, but it's interesting to hear that because I know that you and I, for the most part, I think we've been somewhat of the same opinion on most of Battlefront so far. It's interesting that we're varying a little bit, but I think part of it for me is because Fighter Squadron was my favorite, and it felt like it never really got its due, and now I'm just like, I get to fly ships again,
Yeah, no, and I hear you. I'm with you, and I think what it is just kind of how our fuses work, because I think you were probably a little more upset initially, and I've been holding out the whole time saying, I'm going to give it time, and now I've kind of reached the end of my rope, and I'm like, I gave you time. You have no excuse. Now you must pay.
So you are, oddly enough, you are taking the opposite tack, or we are taking the opposite tacks then of what I would need to do during the day, because I'm teaching online with students who can work at their own pace. For me, it's the opposite in that a kid falls behind at the beginning, kid's not doing so good at the beginning of the semester. It's cool, we'll find a way around it, we'll accommodate for it, we'll make sure they have what they need to be able to succeed by the end, because they have plenty of time to up their game, right? It's not freak out time, whereas for me with Battlefront, it was the exact opposite, which is kind of the approach that, the approach that I would take to work is the approach that you were taking to Battlefront, to make it just kind of take a calmer thing at the beginning. I'll say, I think, and I've talked up this a little bit, and hello, Lego Lover, Creepernator, Jim, and Snowman in the chat there, mainly saying hello, but because he can't see the chat. But I guess one of the things that I would say about this mode and Fighter Squadron that is somewhat of a missed opportunity, and maybe I've just missed something, but I've had the opportunity now to play as the Imperial Wingman and the Rebel Wingman, where somebody's out there as Vader's TIE or as Red 5. And wow, I mean, what amazing variants in terms of hero ships. Another X-Wing and another TIE. Although they do have special abilities. But when I played as both Wingmen, they didn't feel any different from playing as the regular TIE or regular X-Wing. Am I missing something about the Wingman that I can do that I didn't see?
If you're missing it, I'm missing it too. Because I said the same thing. I'm like, okay, what is?
I'm the I don't even think they look different, do they?
They look like it's one of those things where I know there's something different, but I couldn't put my finger on it.
So it'd be something like maybe like it has a stripe.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it is.
Something like that.
You know, and what's so frustrating is that, like I said, they turned in, half complete homework. Like with these Y-Wings doing their bombing runs. Why would they not allow you, once you kind of get to that point or whatever, why would they not allow you to be the ones doing those bombing runs?
True. Or, on the flip side, take the Imperial side, you can target them, chase them, and blast the shit out of them, and yet you can't actually destroy them. They just get hurt, and I have no idea what I'm doing at the moment because it would appear that I am in some weird... Okay, that was very strange. Like, I died, but I didn't die. Like, I died, but I didn't respawn. It was acting like I had respawned, but I still had my "you've just died" screen and was frozen. So I just got killed again without being able to actually move, fly, live. I died before I lived, like the credibility of the Trump camp. Oh, I'm sorry. What? Did you say something? No. A pox on both their houses.
Oh my god.
I don't know what's going to happen whenever we get to. And yes, George, that was definitely a glitch. I don't know what's going to happen after November when I don't have the election to riff on anymore. I'm going to be just like, oh god, one of them won, and that'll just be it. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, at that point you'll just be able to focus on that one person.
Yeah, because I always bring the political humor every time we're recording by accident. It just sort of happens, man. At least on Beyond the Films, it's on purpose. Yeah, so on the plus side, we can come back to good things about Death Star momentarily. But on the plus side, for those who are fans of fighter combat, but not necessarily in video game form, you dig the tabletop game format. This week we saw the release of the newest wave of X-Wing, and mine actually just came in the mail today. I haven't had a chance to really dig into them other than just open them up and get ready to eventually do the video reviews. But we got the Shadowcaster, the Protectorate Fighter, the Special Forces First Order TIE, and the ARC 170, which are all pretty cool-looking miniatures, but I haven't had a chance to really dig into the game mechanics yet. You had a chance to see any of those in play yet, or in your favorite local game store?
I haven't, because they actually just showed up. So I got the picture of which I'm sure you got too on the player group of saying, hey, all the ships are in. But I gotta say, I really wish that I'm not very happy with them. I wish that EA made the tabletop game, and that way we wouldn't get ships. We would just get like new maps or something.
Yeah, exactly. If it was EA would be like, all right, guys, here's some new skirmish maps for Imperial Assault, but they actually don't come with the skirmish mission cards to actually let you play them. Those you have to buy separately, or something like that.
No,
those are coming in the next wave.
You get like it's supposed to be like a a nice Death Star type scene, but it's just half the picture on there. They're like, yeah, we got halfway through it and said, fuck it.
Yeah. So those, of course, we're going to be talking more in depth on those on the next episode when we record, probably tomorrow or whenever. But it's another interesting aspect of what we've been getting into on the show is the Lego Star Wars stuff. And I was totally taken aback this Tuesday because it's now been 2 weeks since they added the trophies, at least, and the game update for 1.0.4 for the Poe Dameron Poe's Quest for Survival mission, and they still haven't added it to the game. The DLC still hasn't been released yet. So I think that what you had said a while back may be right on target in that they may have just been avoiding coming out at the same time as Death Star, even though it's not the same company. That it's just like, hey, Star Wars players are going to be playing this other thing. We don't want to dilute the audience, kind of thing. Because I don't see any rationale, and they haven't really announced anything with it. It just seems like they're like, it's just not time yet.
I think they're just trying to, they don't want to completely have Death Star launch with no one playing it.
Yeah. Hey, I found R2-D2, guys. Guys, guys, get your asses up. Guys. So this is actually a really... Why are you guarding him?
Yeah.
Because...
why am I not blowing him up? That makes no sense to me.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Why are you not blowing him up? Well, because if you blew him up, then the rebels would instantly lose. But I like the way that I like the way the rebel side of this works. At least I like the mechanic where. Have you actually been R2-D2 yet?
No, I have not.
So
that's cool. At least I didn't realize that you could actually be R2-D2.
Yeah,
I'll definitely give them some credit for that.
Like it'll say rescue, and you'll run up to him and activate him. And if you're the one who activates him, you become R2 and have to work your way towards the extraction point. And the Imperials will shoot you enough to basically put you in like an ion stun kind of mode, and you have that break free thing where you're slamming on the square button the same way as if somebody used one of those shock mine things.
Right.
And if you break free before an Imperial can come up and do the activation, hold down square thing, then you get to keep going. And if an Imperial does get up to you and do the activation thing before then you're kicked out, and then it's set there, and the Imperials get to guard it and have to wait for somebody to rescue it again. So, and I didn't know that. The first couple times I was playing, I was like, oh, well, so R2-D2 is moving by itself. Why isn't he moving there? Why is he going that way? And it turns out it's because of a player. But this map, I want to say, I think it's this one, is one of the ones with the divots in the floor that if a player accidentally falls into, the rebels are just screwed. And I believe this is the one where the extraction point has 2 or 3 different exits to get to it, but 2 of them have like a lip on the floor that R2-D2 can't drive over, so there's only one you can actually go through, which you only learn by trial and error.
Excellent.
So, a couple of issues. I'd say the falling into the divot thing is a game breaker. Get out of my way, Morris Isley!
That's me. And that, like I said, that's so funny. I refuse to believe that it's any more difficult to allow you to fly these Y-wings to make these attack runs than it is to... It seems to me like it would be much more to go into the programming side to allow you to be R2-D2, right?
Right. That is true. It almost feels like this DLC, even like, hey, we just introduced a new hero and a villain, but we're not going to have heroes versus villains mode. Even though we got maps in the Death Star. It's like they got partway through and they realized
and then just said, meh.
Actually, I think I got an answer. Come to think of it. I was about to say it seems like it was rushed. Remember that they originally said that this DLC was coming later in the year and the last DLC would be coming out in the early part of next year? I wonder if by pushing that up so that they could make the last one Rogue One and put it out in December and pushing this to September caused them to have to drop features.
Very likely, but nonetheless, it's not really an excuse. Like at this
it's a
point,
reason, but not an excuse, in essence.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, we got it. Like, hey, I didn't tell you to pump it out early, and nonetheless, calling it early's being generous because not really. I memean, it's been a while. I don't know. It's like I said, you've had a long time to complete damn game. I don't understand. I can't comprehend like it. And it's stuff that like I just don't even believe that. I don't think they thought about it because the fact that they put the time and energy into allowing you to be R2-D2, but not in, like I said, something as simple they could probably do with a patch. You know, allowing you to actually take charge of the Y-wings to attack those Star Destroyers.
Right. Got a couple
for
questions.
Something that's supposed to be Fighter Squadron focused. I don't know.
So, for those who are watching on the stream, I'm trying to. There's a little bit of lag, I think, between what we're saying to each other here. There's we had the question of, did we hear that that there's a Blu-ray release coming of Freemaker Adventures? Yes, Freemaker Adventures is getting Blu-ray and DVD release. When most of, I mean, the only other Lego release that ever got a Blu-ray was Padawan Menace, and it had a thing pop up a second ago on the screen for those who are watching. I had forgotten to, but as we were in that corridor, I dropped a back-to-bomb, which then healed somebody, which got me the 20th of the heals and finished up the HUT contract for the medical droid, the upgraded version of medical droid. So when I get a chance to actually change out my star card loadout, I'll change it and show some of the new gear from this DLC. I still have the only HUT contract that's left for me to do that I actually have requires playing as Han, so I can't really do anything with that right now. Ooh, I'm in the blue lights.
Yeah, okay. That's another thing too that I mean, it's such a mess. Like I said, that we're like, ooh, I need to complete a contract, but I can't do it because there's only three missions that I can do. So, all right, well, I can either play the new stuff or I can finish this contract. It's
Now, I am curious to know if there was anything, because I think so far that there's only one of the HUT contracts, except for the ones that are like an upgrade of a previous one, of course. But I think that the only HUT contract that actually says anything about this DLC is, oh, kill R2-D2, and turn him off. I got him. He's off. The only one that actually says that you need this DLC is one that has you have to get 1,500 combined objective score in Death Star. So I'm wondering if any of these new HUT contracts are available to non-season pass players, because the only people that I've talked to, I think, about it since this dropped this week, have been season pass players who are playing Death Star and talking about the contracts. I don't think any of them were just made available to everyone, but it's possible, which may explain why you would have one that just has you, hey, play as Han as a hero, but not in the modes for the DLC that just came out, right?
Yeah, but I mean, even still, like I said, it's still asinine, you know?
Oh yeah, it's absolutely still asinine.
I just, like, at this point, there's so many things that it's absolutely, it's just uncalled for. I don't know. I'm just getting all pissy now. I really would like to just go there and ask them, like, what the hell?
Like John Boyega did.
Yeah, but when they start giving, I'm like, no. I don't want any bullshit. What the hell?
We have to maximize the productivity of our assets and leverage our market position for. Like, no, don't give me any of that bullshit. I heard the Weird Al song that turned all that bullshit into a song. Give me an actual legitimate reason. Like, why do you not let us play as other starfighters? You know, I all I can think of that would be a legitimate answer to that is, or I guess two things. Maybe they thought the game would be unbalanced. Like, that's ever stopped them before. Or the question of, well, they'd have to, alongside the models for the outside of the ships, which already existed, at least in the case of the Y-Wing, they would have to create models for the interior. But even then, I wouldn't think that's a huge thing.
But see what I'm talking about. I'm talking about bare minimum. We should have been able to actually take control for that. And you know what? If they don't have the time to do the inside, like the cockpit models, then if you know when you take control of that, you're going to be in the third person type mode. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like,
Right. Because you
that,
do that with Heroes. You're not first person with Heroes.
Exactly. So there's no, like I said, there's no excuse other than we just dumb.
We just oh, there you go. Hey, I just got a trophy for something. Stay in attack formation, whatever that is. Don't know what that is. So I'm gonna switch out some star cards here real quick between. So, I guess the other thing that's big that's coming, I should update, and then we can talk about it also on the show briefly. Is the last episode, our opening. For those who don't listen to Cloud City Casino, and you really should, over at StarWarsReport.com, because we are so much funnier when we're just sitting there at the end of a day where we both had a long day and we're talking the gaming stuff and just popping off, as opposed to now where we're both like, I am so tired, man. I think that I think it was our last episode where our skit was our opening skit or our opening funny whatever that somehow is meant to reflect something either that's been going on for a while or something in the show was, I think it was me trying to activate something, like holding up a food line because I kept pressing the button and nothing was happening. We said it was manufactured by Target, and the joke was that Target had recently sent out a thing to all of its red card members. It basically said, hey, if it didn't say hey, it just said hey.
That's what I was thinking. It said hey.
It said hey. It basically said, if you would like to pre-order PlayStation VR, then we are not. Oh man, we're on blast. That's all right, I guess. Actually, no, it's not all right. I'll take us out and get us back to the other mode. But it said basically that if you're a red card holder and you use the app, if you meet both of those two criteria, then you can use the app to pre-order a PlayStation VR set, whereas you can't through the regular site. You can't just through the regular app if you're not a red card member, and if you're a red card member but don't use the app, you can't do it on the site either. So it's basically a very specific, limited thing, because presumably they'll have limited quantities for pre-order. So at the time that we recorded that last episode, I was banging my head against the wall. My wife and I constantly, every few hours, trying it for days to get it to work. Until finally, okay, I'm into a map, but I don't know if it's going to put you on a team. It should get you in here with me.
May put me against you again, and then we'll spend the entire time trying to kill each other.
Oh, okay. It finally worked about a day or two after we recorded, and then we ran into another fun time where they were like, yeah, here's an upgraded version of your red card that's actually also a MasterCard. How awesome. But oh yeah, your regular red card that you use for purchases will be deactivated here in a couple of days, which is the one that we used to do the pre-order. So we had to go around and basically cancel one pre-order and redo another pre-order, with the only good news being that now we had a shipping option that allows it to get here, in theory, the day after release. So on the 14th of October, we should have PSVR in hand to be able to kind of stream some things out of it and sort of show it off. And while they haven't announced when the Battlefront VR mission is going to be, when it's going to be released, at least we'll have the gear in hand for sure on that day. I've actually just last night got the PlayStation Move controllers from the PS3 synced to hook up to my my PS4. So that's good news. And Michael, you said that more than likely you were going to be off that day or something, right? That would allow you to even be able to try it out possibly on the day that it arrives, wasn't it? Something like that.
Maybe we'll say yes for the sake of.
Yeah, something like that. I remember we talked about it briefly, but it was going to depend on schedules and all that. But I know that
right.
It's the week. It comes out on the 13th, which is weird because it's scheduled to come out on a. Why am I going after that, Ty? I need to go after the ship. It's scheduled to come out on a Thursday, which doesn't usually happen with video games in the U.S. So I'll have it on that Friday. But I'm like, why?
Okay, yeah, and typically Fridays, I'm supposed to be off on Friday.
Oh, okay. So there you go. So that's what it was.
So, yes.
But I don't. I find that very odd. Slave One just flew past me without shooting me. Like, you're no threat, you little X-wing biatch. Fine.
So,
are you in? Are you in the match? Okay, they got you.
I'm about to...
Okay, because I see you on the bottom of the list, but you're grayed out.
Yeah, I have to. There we go.
You're loading.
I wanted to switch out my star cards.
Oh, okay, cool.
So now this is not video game related, but something that's really cool that anyone who's a Star Wars fan should know.
Mm-hmm.
A Novos. I don't know if you remember where they did like the super cheap, the old original trilogy TK Stormtrooper run where you pre-ordered for.
Oh yeah.
Like $350 and you get
the costume,
full suit,
the costume replica stuff.
Mm-hmm. And we're talking like 501st approved level stuff.
Oh,
okay.
wow.
Well, they've just released that you can actually pre-order now the Force Awakens version for $550, which is crazy cheap compared to what people have been paying.
Oh yeah.
I did not get in. Yeah, I did not get in on that original run, and I told my wife at the time, I'm like, we have the money, I don't currently want to do just a standard Stormtrooper, but I know I'm going to regret this because it's kind of like a once in a lifetime type of opportunity.
Right.
And she's like, yeah, but if you don't really want to do it, then you're still kind of wasting money.
Yeah.
Well, I was right. I was an idiot, and
I could have told you that. Wait,
and
what?
I missed out on it. So this time, even though I not like I like the look of the TFA troopers, but I'm not like huge into them, and I already have like a couple things that I'm going to do, and in fact, I'll just be honest. Like I'm pretty soon about to start doing a clone kit. And a Hondo Anak. The clone kit's going to be hard case from the Imbara arc.
Nice.
Who he was?
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the guys that actually stood with Rex immediately, I think was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, he was. Well.
Or was he the guy that sacrificed himself?
Mm-hmm. He's the one who sacrificed himself.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
When they took, he's talking about the arc where they took the captured Umbaran ships into the hangar bay or whatever it was of the separatist ship, and the one guy had to basically stay behind and manually use the weapon off of the ship to blow it up because they weren't able to do it like the way that they already had intended to. That guy.
Right.
So does this mean, okay, so you said Hondo, you said hard case. So this is on top of your scanning crew guy and working on a Shadow Trooper, right?
Right. Wow. So what I'm saying is, I've got all of these, and like these are ones that I'll have available by pretty much February, because that's when the rest of my Shadow Trooper ships. The reality is, I think what's going to happen is when I do Hondo, I'm probably going to be Hondo 90% of the time.
Oh yeah.
Because
such an
you know me.
unusual...
Well, my personality. Like, I'm going to be having way too much fun as Hondo that I'm not going... I'm like, oh, do I want to be Hondo again? Or do I want to be a Shadow Trooper?
You're like
if
EA,
I'm going to choose fun...
EA has the Death Star DLC. With this little bit of content, you swindle people. I am so proud. Right? That kind of shit. I'm so proud.
Right.
Nice. So now, you said you'll have it by February. You mean like you'll have it completed already by February? Or it'll be in hand and you'll be able to start making it by February?
I'll have it in hand. It'll be... I should be able to do it pretty quickly. The helmet is what takes the majority of the time. That's why I went ahead and had them ship it immediately. And then I'm like, well, I'll just wait on the rest of it. But it has been frustrating. 11 months is a long time when you want to be a Stormtrooper.
Yeah, no kidding. They probably train stormtroopers faster, faster than you can actually buy and make your own armor. I don't know. That's all. Being part of the 501st is always something I found intriguing, but I don't do the cosplay stuff as far as places to, as like going and being part of events, because the south side of the metro area just doesn't really have a lot of that. But the more that I get into visiting, because we're both in the Atlanta area, folks. The more that I get into visiting schools in the other parts of the county, and get to know other parts of the county, the more that I think in terms of being able to do that. For those who don't know, you're not in Fulton County, right?
No.
Okay, I say yeah. You're close, but you're like kind of off to the side. Basically, Fulton County in Georgia is ridiculous and moronically laid out. It is relatively narrow, but it's like this incredibly long strip that goes up from basically where I am, Palmetto in the south, all the way up through Atlanta and into several cities well north of Atlanta. It's like an 80-mile long county. So, I mean, depending on where you are in the county, it's a very different atmosphere. And some of these areas are very different in terms of the Star Wars fan groups, if any, that actually exist out of there. Like, there really isn't... There is such a thing, isn't it, at, like, the Hothlanta Rebels, or Hothlanta Star Wars group, Fan Force, or whatever it was at the time. But it's not really all-encompassing just because... It's such, I mean, just that one county is freaking gigantic, let alone trying to also work in the fact that the Atlanta metro area also has another, like, 6 counties crammed into it that are all considered part of the metro. But I've been thinking about it. I feel like all my money is going towards house improvements, or I keep, people like, oh my god, $300 for the entire run of Ewoks from the UK. Click, you know. That's where all my cash is going.
Yeah, you're like, oh, the internet has made spontaneous purchases way too easy.
And it seems like to me, I mean, just thinking about, because you and I talked on Cloud City Casino right around the time, or I think we were talking either about it on the show, or I know we looked at the parts after the show, after we recorded an episode. But you haven't been doing the actual costuming stuff for very long, right? I mean, it's been this year, hasn't it?
Yeah, I just started it up this year.
So you're going whole hog into this stuff, or whole. You're going a whole. You're going whole Hapabore on this.
There we go. I was trying to think.
You're
of
going
the same,
full Hapabore. It's like full bore, but Hapa. Yeah. I said you're going. What's that stupid fat thing that was drooling in the water that Finn drank? What was that called again?
I kept thinking Hog Squaddle because that's what the Rebel Force radio guy.
Or I can say you're going whole Gamorrean.
Yeah.
That'd be calling a Gamorrean a hog, and I'm pretty sure these days that's racist. Don't you use your pig slang on me.
But, you know, the thing is that that's typical. I don't even have... I mean, like I said, right now I just have the one. The others I'm kind of waiting on.
And you use the one, your scanning crew... See, we made it to the next stage. You used the scanning crew at DragonCon, did you not?
I did not, because I got screwed.
Oh.
I thought
that was the whole plan, was DragonCon.
Yeah, I wanted to get it done by DragonCon. But
so how did they screw you?
What ended up... work decided. So, basically what happened was, you know, we always get holidays off. Typically we're off on Sundays. Except for Amazon. We still run Amazon on both holidays and Mondays.
Okay, I'm gonna hit the pause button because I know that I want to hear the full detail, but I gotta ask because that's gonna cause a lot of people to be like, what? It just caused me to go, what? How on earth did Amazon get any kind of special deal with the U.S. Postal Service so that they get special? It's supposed to be. I mean, it's what's referred to as a government corporation. Like it's privately run. It's run like a private business, but it's all regulated by the government. So Amazon was just like, we'll give you extra cash if you let us be the only ones that defy all previous convention on the Postal Service.
Yeah, pretty much. And
holy shit.
Yeah, it's, you know, when people are saying, like, oh, you know, businesses pretty much run the government, that's not, like, conspiracy bullcrap.
Oh, they
that's
do, yeah.
Just how
it's
it goes.
Influence.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
Which is
you have influence over voters,
fucking...
you have influence over the economy, hell yeah.
That's why I don't want a Muppet for president, because it's just going to make things worse. But point
which is either of them at this point, right? We're going to have one of two Muppets as president.
Yeah, Beaker or that eagle. I can't remember the eagle's name.
I was gonna say Phineas or Ferb, but Phineas and Ferb were actually pretty cool. So no.
Yeah, actually, and honestly, calling them Muppets actually kind of Like I sort of felt bad at first. I'm like, well, you know, I guess Beaker, but
he doesn't mean Muppets.
Beaker's
He means
really
he
cool.
means
What's off-brand Muppets?
he means Puppet Americans. He doesn't mean Muppets. He means Puppet Americans. So you're supposed to have the holidays off, but you've got Amazon as part of it, and that sets the stage for screwing you up for Dragon Con with your scanning crew costume.
Right.
Next step is what happened?
Okay, because basically, so I asked for those days off, and they tell me no. They're like, no, because we don't have, you know, we don't have the availability for you to be off those days. I'm like, okay, it's not really a big deal, because I'll be off one of those days. And, you know, because I also ended up, it cost me running a panel too, which frustrated me.
Well, that sucks.
But,
which panel were you going to run?
Yeah, it was actually the collecting panel.
Oh, cool. I mean,
So,
not cool that you missed it, but cool that they were putting that faith in you.
And I got to do the Rogue One panel, so I mean, at least I got to do one of them. But I did not get to do the collecting panel. So anyhow, my plan was, I said, well, here's what I'll do. If I don't manage to get that day off, like say it was on Monday, I'm like, if they give me Sunday off, I'll just trade it with somebody, right? Somebody who has who's working Sunday but has Monday off. They'll swap. They won't be here, except for then they put me on for both days. That's never happened before. Also, I am so close to going regular. I'm like third in line in seniority right now.
And going regular means aside from having bowel movements that you can predict, going regular means
it means that I will have my own round. I will be like a full, you know, quote unquote full-time employee. You know, that's laughable considering.
I was like, haven't you been putting in like 60-hour weeks or some shit?
I counted up last week. I got 68 hours.
God.
Yeah, and you know, but not full time. Oh, is that ridiculous, right? No. It's just that I would actually have a regular position. Right now, I'm still considered a sub.
Gotcha.
Which means, you know,
oh,
even
for the
though I
love
do
of God,
have a route.
freaking R2D2, run to the right place. Sorry, I think we just ran into another game break. R2D2 can get out a door and wind up going and getting lost in a maze of salvage shit on the ground and not reach the extraction point. Okay, sorry. So you're ready for the next step to hopefully be able to be like full time, and that would mean that you have a very predictable schedule in that case, right? You wouldn't be stuck in this they're jerking you around kind of stuff, right? Or at least a more regular schedule.
Oh yeah, I mean, pretty much it's you get crapped on until you go regular, and then you're supposed to be home free.
he said crap and regular in the same sentence.
Sorry. I mean, and it's not bad. The getting crapped on's not too bad. Essentially, what ends up.
So you're German.
Am I in the?
You
talking
should
about
be.
this damn trench. Am I supposed to be?
No, what's going to happen is, okay, so whoever is marked as an escort needs to get into a trench and go for the checkpoints. We need to get at least 3 checkpoints per run so it doesn't drop back, because it caps every 25%, every 3 checkpoints is like, it's like on Millionaire, where if you screw up later, it only drops. Okay, so now we got 3. There's no way it can drop below 3 now.
Okay.
And if we get to 6, there's no way it can drop below 6 the next time. But if we don't make it to 6, it'll drop. And it's only the 3 chosen assigned pilots who are able to do it.
Okay.
Okay, so it'll say either assist or it'll say destroy the Death Star or something. So right now I'm not one of them.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Yeah.
And
So
a lot of
I'm
them
not
are
either.
a lot of the checkpoints are in the trench, and you take a very sharp right into another area to get through it. So be very careful if you're trying. There's a B-wings I just released that you can't fly as. Just be careful on those turns.
I can be a wingman.
You're a wingman, so except the wingman won't do anything.
Yay.
I got B-wings, man. I got 2 freaking B-wings out there flying with me. Holy. Okay, all we need is 2 more checkpoints in 8 minutes. Oh nope! If one guy gets this next one, it's all over, and we've just destroyed the Death Star.
Yo,
Come on, baby. Yep. We got it. That was the fastest Rebel win I've ever seen. I didn't even get cycled into the go destroy the Death Star with a checkpoint thing. The Rebels just smoked it, and I got second. That's nice.
Must have turned the targeting computer off.
Yeah, exactly. Although it's not really about shooting. There's no target to hit. You just hit the checkpoints.
Oh, I know.
Which is kind of weird. Cool. So
that would have required them to, do another half a game.
So basically, you were going to go, and all these things that you wanted to do at DragonCon got screwed over because of the work schedule, because the U.S. Postal Service is run by, I guess it's the Postmaster General that's in charge. I would assume that the Postmaster General is a general in the rebellion and didn't want any Imperial scanning crews out and about.
Sure. Well,
something like that. Something like that.
No,
it's that meta thing. You got to work on the meta thing. Yeah.
All right.
If you're the Baron Administrator of Cloud City because you host the podcast, son, got to work on the meta.
But the thing is too, like I was saying earlier, is because I'm so high up in seniority, the post office is supposed to run more based on seniority. So there's no reason, like, it's absolutely ludicrous that I was chosen to work both days. It doesn't make sense. Like they were not doing what they're supposed to. So what you can do is you can grieve that, and then they say, "Hey, you were wrong," and they go, "Our bad. We won't do it again."
But that doesn't help you at that time because you're still stuck working both days, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So basically, I still got to go. But what was happening was I was getting in later that day, and basically trying to squeeze out as much time as I could.
Because he wasn't regular, he was trying to squeeze it out. Sorry, I am all. If George can have Jar Jar stepping in poop, I can make my own scatological jokes.
As soon as I said it, I realized.
And I can sound educated by saying it's scatological instead of poop and fart humor.
Hey everybody, look, it's B-Wings no one can play as.
So we got the question in the chat. We actually have two that can kind of fit together. We have one who asked a moment ago, and I'm sorry I missed who actually asked. I think it was Mike here who was asking about how's the DLC now on day 3, like impressions of it, and Shane asking what our favorite Battlefront DLC is so far.
Bespin.
You would say Bespin. Now, is that just because of Lando and because of being a big Bespinophile?
I see how you would think that I'm being biased, but I really do think it was the one that it felt like what should be a small a small DLC pack. Yeah, I think that it's fine. It gave enough change in things that I was happy with it, but I still expected far. I think Outer Rim should have given us more, but I was like, okay, well that's fine. Just don't do it again. And then I'm like, DLC. I'm like, Bespin, it's pretty good. It's not 100%. It could still be a little heftier, but it's Cloud City. It really didn't get a ton of play. There was no battles that really took place.
Right.
So, I think that they really were able to stretch what they could out of it, and I was happy with it for what it was. And we got this, and I'm just pissed off.
Yeah, that's in a nutshell, that is Michael's take on Death Star is pissed off. For what it's worth, by the way, apparently I was wrong. Maybe it was a glitch. The last couple of days I've been trying to shoot down the Y-Wings, and I wasn't able to. And I just shot down a Y-Wing. Now, I'm thinking that maybe the Y-Wing I just shot down may have been one that was spawned as a wingman that you can shoot down, and not one of the ones that was actually making an attack run to do the whole ion blast thing. But it is possible at least to destroy some Y-Wings of some kind. In fact, I just saw, just as I was saying that, somebody else destroyed a Y-Wing, and it came, like, spiraling past me. So Y-Wings can be destroyed, but maybe they're the wingman ones, possibly.
But if that's the case, but I thought the wingman was just the X-wing.
No, sorry, not the wingman. Okay, so there's two wingmen. You can spawn B-wings, Y-wings, TIE bombers, or TIE defenders into the match to essentially just be new combatants. They fly initially as if they are wingmen to you, or they fly together as if they're wingmen of each other. But I guess wingman isn't the proper term for them. There's something. There's some new power-up. But then the wingman is when, just like if you're playing, for those who don't know this, those who are playing, like Palpatine, if somebody's playing as Palpatine or playing as Leia, you can spawn as one of their guards. Here, it's kind of the same thing. As somebody's playing as Luke in Red 5 or as Vader in the TIE Advance, and it is supposed to be Vader, because if you go to first person, you hear him breathing, I think. You can spawn as their wingman, except there's nothing special about them that we can see. It's just, congratulations, you spawned as a wingman, but you're just another TIE fighter, you're just another X-Wing. As opposed to it being something special, like when you're a guard, you automatically have homing shot and a constant smart rocket kind of thing.
And can I say that's another thing too? Why in the world are? Because I initially thought the wingman feature was, oh, they finally started doing the spawn with partner for
which would make sense,
right? But no, that's not something they're doing. Because
yeah, you still can't spawn. I didn't even think about that, but yeah, they've never allowed spawn on partner in Fighter Squadron.
And there's zero reason for it. Zero.
That's actually why I prefer the A-Wing now. I've never preferred the A-Wing over the X-Wing. But now I prefer the A-Wing because A-Wing's got a booster and I can actually get back to the freaking action when I die instead of plodding along and taking 20 or 30 seconds to get back into the fight.
Yeah, it's. Are you? Am I pissing you off now? You're like, this game is lacking.
It's the game itself has always been lacking, and this DLC has a lot of very questionable what the hell kind of choices. Again, the lack of other starfighters available, the lack of a heroes versus villains mode, or anything else infantry-wise. But I'm someone who loved Fighter Squadron before they made it 400 points, and now it feels like it drags like crazy. But
yeah, I'm right there with you. And like I said, it's, to me, I was getting really tired of Fighter Squadron because it felt lacking. And now I'm like, you know what? This is kind of how it should be. But just one map. You know, they've worked themselves to it. Congratulations.
Yeah.
You know,
you have one map with something new and decent. But now you're going to have to give us another starting map and something other than, some other kind of, like, maybe not the trench run. Maybe the next time it's, flying into the Death Star 2 or something, because although there are parts of it that actually look like that. If you actually fly it, if you're doing one of the checkpoints, there's a checkpoint that looks like you're flying through the Death Star 2 superstructure, where it's almost like somebody hollowed out a plus and made it so you flew into where the plus would be. And there's all kinds of shit in the way if you fly outside of that plus region, if that makes sense. You see the Falcon flying through it in Return of the Jedi?
Yeah. And this, here's what's so stupid is that they've thrown too much into one map, because we have asteroids and we also have debris.
No.
They should just have a full asteroid map. Why would they not do that?
Now, if you're playing Fighter Squadron, If you're playing Fighter Squadron, there's this debris field, and there's another that's, I think it's like an asteroid field kind of thing. They've introduced it there, but I guess because that one doesn't have the Star Destroyer and the Death Star hanging in the background kind of stuff, they're not swapping it in. So they're trying to do like you were saying, they're trying to do asteroids and debris and everything, just throw it all together into one map and hope they don't notice it's the same damn map every single time you do Phase 1 or Phase 3.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. You know what? I'm not gonna be that negative on that. Then I wasn't aware of that because I in this thing. So that that's actually pretty good. I mean, that's the main thing. Like I said, they need to have more than just one. I mean, this is the first thing that I'd actually call a complete map. Where you actually feel like you have to avoid crap. I was happy to see it come Bespin, because I was like, oh hey, you know what? What a nice change that you actually have to avoid crap instead of just fly in an open space. But by this point, I'm like, okay, we really just have one complete map for Fighter Squadron, whereas the other two, it's almost like the first maps that they have. It's like, oh, we put you over Hoth. We just basically threw out that original map. You're just overhead. So we reused that and it's really more like what we did testing on to make sure that all the flight controls work correctly. Have fun,
Right.
but that's not a thing.
So
I mean,
I would think that this, aside from the fact that this just feels like a much more dynamic map because of just all the stuff that's on it, I feel like this mode, it's, I wouldn't say it's like a hint towards what a campaign could be per se, but just the idea of not necessarily thinking of it like when they're designing it. It's like when they started, they thought of this as multiplayer shooter. So it was all match type, match type, match type. It wasn't about scenarios. It was about just, let's just throw you into, here's the match. It's just it's team deathmatch, but we're going to call it blast kind of thing. Whereas in this case, it's even a step beyond what we got with Walker Assault, because Walker Assault has phases that it'll go through, but they're all identical phases. Whereas in this case, it's actually almost like 3 different matches strewn together. This feels to me like what I've always wanted to see with FFG, which would be, some kind of scenario where you've got a fleet battle going on with Armada, you've got starfighter combat handled by X-Wing, and you've got a ground action happening with Imperial Assault rules and stuff like that. There actually is a guy, and I mentioned this on the last stream, but there's a guy who's actually tried to sort of build on the idea, and he posted a PowerPoint that I downloaded. It's a PowerPoint, but it's a PowerPoint thing that he put onto the forums over on the Battlefront website. And basically it's linked together as like a choose-your-own-adventure, and he used a website to create animated Star Wars crawls. So if you follow it and do what it tells you, go to whichever map type on whatever map it tells you, it's essentially creating a scenario or a story by stringing match types together. Whereas here, it's kind of like what they're trying to do with this. So it's like it shows the potential of this game being able, even if it has no story still, to give us something that really ups the ante on the way it weaves together its game types. And yet, it took them until DLC 3 to really touch on that.
Yeah, and
I don't know if that means we should hope for it in. Should we hope for it in DLC 4? You think? I mean, should we think it's an upward climb, and they're going to be better off in 4 even than 3?
So I think that's what we'll get. I think essentially what I think's happening is you have a company that was making shooter games. They're basically they're doing their Battlefield games, and they're just making that, and
which had story modes, by the way. Battlefield has story modes.
But I mean, are they the same like challenge type stuff as this though?
No, Battlefield has Battlefield 4 at least has an actual story. I actually got that on a discount specifically so I could see whether some of the issues I had with Battlefront relative to something like Destiny in terms of the shooting is a matter of the engine or specific to Battlefront, and a lot of it is the engine. And to test it out, I played through a big chunk of the campaign on Battlefield 4. It is a campaign. It is an actual story, cutscenes and taking you through different shooting scenarios with different ways to approach it. It's not
but
like
I'm talking about in their multiplayer.
Oh, okay. Multiplayer. Their multiplayer is very much like what Battlefront is.
Right. And that's what I'm saying is that, used to, Battlefront was more than that, and like I said, this is a good thing. I like this. That essentially it feels like you do have a forward progressing
scenario
type thing, where it's like, hey, this is the scenario we're playing, okay, so you got to do this, then the next level you do this, then the last level you do this, and that determines what everybody's playing, or how everybody does in the end. I like that. However, we only have 1. If they add it again, we will only have 2.
True.
I feel like that's the game that we should have in total. That's what this game. That's how you would explain the game. Does that make sense? Like,
let me ask you this: Does it do them credit? It does you credit. Does it do them credit that while yes, there is only just Battle Station that is a scenario like that. Yes, Phase 1 is always the same thing. Yes, Phase 3 is always the same thing, if you get to 3. But that at least the middle portion, that's more of an infantry type scenario, or infantry type match type, that at least does have changing maps. Does that mitigate the fact that, yeah, it is just one game type, but at least the middle changes? No? Oh, okay. I tried, EA.
No,
I tried to be an apologist
it's...
for you for like 5 seconds, and he wouldn't let me, thank God.
Thank God. It's just, like I said, you know, the part that pisses me off is that what we really should have...
He's disappeared.
Yeah, just live streaming.
What we really should have is... He left us in suspense, man!
Okay.
Oh, God. I don't know how I'm going to play like this frequently, doing VR, but damn it, I'm going to try. Battlefront joke. What's it like for Stevie Wonder to fly a TIE fighter?
Oh my God!
Sorry.
You want to hear the worst joke ever?
Yeah, what's that?
Like this may hurt your stream, so just so you know.
Oh, this will cause it'll
guy-
go from 12 watching with logins to like 0. That's
Yeah,
okay.
So let's see if I can clear a room. There was a guy just like hooting and hollering today at work. I heard. So basically, he's at the window, you know, like we go, I want to buy stamps. I hear the guy just being like, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And so I text my friend who works up there. I said, what the hell are y'all doing up there? He goes, oh, he's like, it's a guy, you know, he's challenged, he can't help it. And I said, yeah, but so was Helen Keller, and she didn't want to keep her mouth shut.
Oh my God, you're going to hell. You're going to hell for that one. Oh, that's. See, and that's funny because, okay, it's not. It's funny, but it's not funny, right? That's the way you have to say it these days. But no, it strikes me that because there's a big controversy going on right now in Georgia. I think it's Georgia, where there was a. I think I forget. I want to say it was Georgia. I forget, but it's been on the Georgia talk radio quite a bit recently. Where basically this volunteer at it's like a preschool or a kindergarten or something, had a big group of students outside in like the playground, and when it was time to come in, one of the students just wouldn't listen and wouldn't line up to go in. So since they needed to go in, the volunteer took all the other students in and immediately turned around to go back for that other kid, but by then one of the coaches or something at the school had already seen the kid and taken them inside, and that was not the cause for concern, the oh well you abandoned my kid kind of thing, or somebody else could have gotten my kid kind of thing. It was the fact that when they were in and talking about what happened, her description was that she was trying to say that she's a great kid, she just sometimes does things her own way, and said that you have a special child or something like that. And they took special as basically saying your child has some type of learning deficiency. And things blew up to the point where they got this volunteer. They tried to get the volunteer fired. The volunteer then instead wound up becoming the head of the local PTA. And
That's
both
hilarious.
of the parents of the kid, who were lawyers, conspired together, and the husband, who basically does whatever the wife says apparently, the husband of the two planted drugs in the lady's car and called in a tip to try to get her sent away on drug charges. All because somebody couldn't understand that sometimes special just means special, not special.
No.
They're different.
Let's back this up just a little bit, all right? Because that's one thing to learn from this. The other thing to learn from this is teach your fucking kids to mind.
Yeah, exactly, that too. Teach your children to actually follow instructions and not. Yeah. When special means do it your own way, we're talking Burger King. It should not mean something that'll put your child in danger.
Your kid can be special and do it their own way when they fucking hit the age of 18. In the
There
meantime, get your ass inside.
Oh.
That is absolutely ridiculous.
I find myself shocked that you do not have a parenting podcast.
Yeah, it's it's like
I want
have
to
no
see.
kids,
That's what I want. I want.
But I'm
to,
gonna
I
tell
want,
you how to fucking raise yours.
Okay, yeah, I have no children either, unless you count the ones that I teach. I have no children of my own yet.
Right.
But I think you should go on Padawan Perspective with Mark and Barrett and their two kids and start laying down the law, right? You can schedule the podcasting time around your extracurriculars when you fucking turn 18.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's Mark's kid's name?
Taylor. He's got
Taylor.
I think it's 3 kids. He's got Jaina, Gavin, and Taylor, but Taylor's the one that's actually on the podcast.
Okay, so I'm like, oh, okay, Taylor. So what do you want to talk about on the podcast today? It doesn't fucking matter what you want to talk about because you did not spend the money for the. Did you buy the microphone you're talking on, Taylor? No, because you don't have a job. Because you're
now,
a terrible
okay, so that
person
begs the
on your
question, though. What if you're in a situation where you have a parent and child who are arguing, the child is not minding, and they're talking about, say, I don't know, let's say dinner or whatever, but whatever it was that you're talking about wasn't purchased by the parent either because it was, say, government assistance of type. Could you still do that?
Well, I mean, the parent has been given the responsibility of using those assets by the government because they're an adult, so it still goes to the parent.
Well, it's still, but that they didn't buy it; they received it.
I mean,
right?
But still, it's as an adult over the age of 18, they meet those parameters. As far as like that becoming a situation of, welfare or whatever, right? That's a totally different situation. But in that situation, no, they're still the fucking adult. So,
I don't know. I really think there should be a Cloud City Casino parenting sub website or something. So we're getting to the point where we'll probably be wrapping up after this match is over with, because we're looking.
I'm not in a match. Are you in a match?
You aren't in a match?
No.
Well, that's the issue then, because I haven't seen you as a partner. So we can wrap it up here momentarily, because I know we're getting a little past the hour mark, which is what the target was. So last thing, I guess, before we do, and I'll go ahead and drop out of here. So that being said, you've played a little bit more with it. We've talked a little bit more about it. You now know about the whole playing as R2-D2 thing. So for you right now, Death Star DLC, is it sort of middle of the road, or are we talking about something that is essentially going to be just... Okay, Death Star DLC, it's a fail. You certainly aren't in a position where it sounds like that you like it at this point.
It's frustrating because I like it, but it's a demo. You know what I mean? Like, it's basically you ordered your Game Informer this month, and they're like, hey, check out our new game coming out. Except for they charged you fucking $90 for it. I feel like that, like I said, that should be how the game works. I think the game should be broken up between, hey, do you want to just go shoot people? Cool, go play Blast. Hey, do you want to just do, you go pick them. But the meat of the game should be these types of scenarios. Not just one, but multiples. That when it came out, they should have put one out for each one of the DLCs that's out right now. If they had one for each DLC right now, my tone would be completely changed.
Right.
But it's not.
Now would you... So I gotta ask, though, because I think that probably the greatest... having new maps is fine. Having new heroes is fine. Having new star cards is fine. But none of that would make me excited about buying a season pass or make me excited about buying anything large to add to this stuff. But I gotta say, I've really enjoyed Sabotage. I've really enjoyed Extraction, and I'm enjoying Battle Station. We've kind of come to expect just a new match type or a new game type from each DLC, and we even got the turning point back when we got the free DLC of Jakku. So I know it's not scenarios, but there are
Right.
new there are those two new match types. Does it
I think that
do those justify? I mean, does that mitigate it at all that we don't have more multi-tier scenario-based things, that we did get two substantial new match types that were actually different with those last two DLCs?
I think that essentially, like with sabotage, now at this point they should go back in and go, oh, okay, so we're going to extend upon the sabotage. So you can go play just sabotage like it's always been, just a singular match type, or you can go do another one of these scenarios, and we're going to do it, and it won't take much to say, okay, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and they can actually set up the parameters with the maps they already have.
Right.
Like they have the cloud car set up right now, so you could do something with that, and then turn around. You have to do the sabotage run. Like I said, they can do something very similar, where the whole idea is that you kind of get, oh, okay, like we're trying to liberate Bespin right now. So at this point, we're coming in. This is the reinforcements with the cloud cars or what the fuck ever.
Well,
And
while you're giving the thoughts, I'm gonna throw us into a fighter squadron just to see if we see another one of those maps, since we need just to have something going on the screen while we're wrapping up.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Right. No, I hear you. I mean, like, maybe you need to escort a actually escort a because you always do trying to get the I'm so worked up I can't even think of the damn thing. The transport. The transports are always leaving, right? Like,
right.
Why not escort a transport in? You know what I mean? Or like multiple.
That'd be interesting. Have somebody who's. So you're saying like have a stage where before you can even take the cargo to the rebel transport to leave, you have to play like a fighter squadron to bring it in, and maybe a fighter squadron to bring it out or something like that. So you almost bookend it like what Battle Station is.
Well, like yeah. Okay, so think of it as in like Bespin's full of Imperials.
Okay.
And the rebels are basically coming in on Bespin, and they're landing these transports where the troops are now going to attack.
Okay.
Like,
I think the issue that would happen with that is that you have there's a lot of people. And granted, this is one of those, that it's going to be thrown off kilter by just who posts, why they post, when they post, and where they post. But the official forums for Battlefront have a lot of people who are relatively negative most of the time about the game. Kind of one of those, I'm going to talk about it because I hate it, and I'm going to spend my energy in my life because I dislike this thing, as opposed to talking about something they do like. But it's interesting that there are pages and pages of threads now where people are decrying the fact that they don't want more fighter squadron stuff. They want more infantry. So there's a lot of people pissed off that this mode, or this DLC, only lets you play infantry on blast or in the middle section of Battle Station if you happen to get there. So I could see people being angry if you tried to take an older match type and shoehorn it in between a couple of different fighter squadron segments. They'd be bitching out about the fighter squadron segments again.
But what I'm saying is that's an addition, because that's the other problem to this, is that what you got was the scenario. So we'll differentiate them between scenarios and match types, right? So the problem is they didn't add a match type for the people who want to play the shooter combat stuff, right?
Right. Or heroes, for that matter.
Right, yeah. What they gave you was a fighter squadron DLC. I mean, because that's essentially what this is. It's fighter squadron DLC.
Yeah.
So they absolutely have the right, and that's what I'm saying, is that it's too it's too anemic. Like, there's just not. We did not get enough content, and I really think, like I said, looking at this, I think it sort of made me actually understand just how how bare this game actually is. That
You
like I
finally
said,
seen
this
the light.
like this should be, but the game is the main portion of the game. But if you just want, your fast play type stuff, just go pick a match type, you go play that. But the main focus would be scenarios to complete.
Right.
And you should have both. But what we've been getting is just the match types, and then finally, near the end, essentially near the end of the life of the game, you finally get what a small portion of what the game should be.
And by the way, just to make sure everybody's seeing this, we talked repeatedly in this stream, Michael and I, about the wingman being identical to a regular TIE fighter or a regular X-wing, and how the wingman doesn't feel any different or special when you get to be the wingman. I am now the wingman. It feels just like a regular frickin' TIE. It doesn't feel like this is at all different from a standard TIE fighter. It's still got the boost. It's still got the missile. It's still firing its regular blasts. The only difference that I can tell, I think, is the whatchamacallit, the life bars in yellow or orange, whatever that is, instead of being in white. So yeah, that seems to be the only difference. So I don't know if I'm going to actually play out this entire match here. I guess I should if I'm going to get the XP from it, though. It seems like it's awarded mid-match, but sometimes if you drop out of it, it seems like it doesn't add. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, which is freaking odd. So, would you have said the same thing at the time about, let's say, Bespin DLC, the one that you said was your favorite? Did that feel, or now or at the time, in retrospect or at the time, does that one feel anemic?
Now, considering it now, yeah, I think so. Like I said, I think that, and I felt like it was at the time, but I didn't feel like it was as bad as this one is. This one just feels really, like I said, this one feels really bare just simply for the fact that, there's only 3 game modes to the DLC.
This is true. There is only 3. And I will say, of the 3, I think a lot of people were shocked to find that the only mode that you had for the infantry that is standalone was Blast, not even one of the other, kind of standard modes that you would expect to see. No drop zone or anything like that, no cargo, no droid run or anything like that. It was oddly just Blast.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's
trying to make sure this is. There we go. That should work. There we go. All right. So I was trying to make sure that I was starting to get some fluctuation in the stream quality there. Okay. All right. So we'll go through and we'll talk about this DLC. We'll talk quite a bit about the new releases for X-Wing and whatnot. They're on the next episode of Cloud City Casino for sure, of course. We'll go ahead and wrap this up now. We're a little bit past where we were trying to target for here. Again, thank you to Michael for joining me. You can hear us both on Cloud City Casino on StarWarsReport.com. New episodes when there's enough news to talk about. Sometimes it's weekly, sometimes it's monthly. Just completely depends on the amount of material that's out there. You can catch me and Mark Hurleman talking about Legends and Canon stories on Star Wars Beyond the Films at StarWarsReport.com. On this channel, you'll find things like From the Star Wars Home Video Library. You'll find the vlog, the voice of reason or lack thereof, the Fantasy Flight Games reviews, which we'll have some X-Wing ones coming up soon. You'll be able to, at some point in the near future, hopefully, be able to see a new edition of the Star Wars Timeline Gold, my Star Wars chronology, the most comprehensive Star Wars chronology available anywhere at StarWarsFanWars.com/timeline. It should see a new release on October 17th. That's the day that we're aiming for at this point. Be sure to check out sequart.org. Check out their Star Wars anthologies, their scholarly essays on Star Wars. I do have an article or an essay on Rebels Season 1 in the first one that's available now called A Long Time Ago. The next one that's coming out, A Galaxy Far, Far Away, on Star Wars comics, will have an essay in it that I wrote on the Marvel comic series, the original Marvel comic series from the beginning up through the end of Empire Strikes Back. And then in the third volume, A More Civilized Age, which will be about the novels, I have the afterword to the entire series, which will be opposite a foreword by Timothy Zahn. So that should be a fun thing, but I got a feeling that's still a few months out for the second one, and it'll be a few months after that for the third. But sequart.org is where you can find more information on those. So with that, thank you, Michael, and thank you all for watching, and we will catch you later on another stream. Thanks, guys.